Alright guys, thank you so much for joining me for this 250 shootout. I'm super stoked to film this thing. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, and I gotta just say thank you to all of you for subscribing, and all my patrons for supporting us financially, and all you who've purchased merchandise, all that stuff, and just sharing these videos. Guys, thank you so much. You're making this happen. We finally got a really good camera. I got some time. I'm really excited about this. Thank you. So, here we are. We're looking at pitting the land of Arnold Schwarzenegger against the land of the rising sun in the Highland Cycles 250 two-stroke shootout. Let's start with what we're dealing with, okay? Over here with the land of Arnold Schwarzenegger, this is a 2018 KTM 250XC-W, a great bike. I really absolutely love this motorcycle. It's the last carbureted version of the W from KTM. It's got the Makuni carburetor with the JD jetting kit in it. We're up here on the Uncompahgre Plateau, just west of Montrose, Colorado. If you've watched any of our other videos, you know that this bike runs really well. I really like everything about it. It gets about 80 to 90 miles out of a tank, stock tank. The pipe we're running is an SRT pipe, just inexpensive, $150 pipe. Both bikes are running the FMF Turbine Core 2.1 silencer for a spark arrestor. As far as the engine goes, that's it. Everything else is stock on this bike. Everything else is completely stock. This over here, the venerable YZ250. This is it's really a Frankenstein, but basically it's a 2007 YZ250. It's got 2008 forks on it. The motor is completely stock. It does have Electron carburetor on it, the HV series Electron. It's got a Henson clutch in it. I'll put a card right up here if you want to watch us installing that. We put the Henson basket and clutch pack in it. Other than that though, it's running an SRT pipe, Turbine Core 2.1 silencer. We got the torque dent right here in this bike, so might make a little more power down low. But yeah, as far as motors go, they're both really stock, guys. Not a lot done to them. Let's talk about tires real fast. This one, we're running the IRC IX09W front tire with the Nitro Mousse in it. This one, we're running the Bridgestone M59 with the Nitro Mousse in it. The back tires are both the same. Michelin Starcross 5 mediums with Nitro Mousses in them. Suspension. This one has been done by Brady Metter at TBT Racing, Oklahoma. It is set up perfectly for me and the way I ride. This one was done back when I had a suspension guy working for me at the shop. So it is valved. It's got the XP1 kit in the Explorer forks, plus base valves, plus a bunch of other stuff. So this suspension's been very well set up for me also. Both bikes are running Fast Company flex handlebars, the 12-degree Enduro bend. Both bikes have the same style, Pro Taper lock-on grips. Gearing, both bikes are the same, 1352 in the gearing. Obviously this has a 6-speed, this one is a 5-speed, close ratio, wide ratio, so that's very different. I think that's about it. I need to talk about the bikes. You know, they're both set up very well for me. I own them both. Let me make this really clear. I purchased both of these motorcycles. No one gave me these motorcycles. I've got all the money invested into them. Obviously, some of the parts on them I've been given. I want to say thank you to all the people. I want to say a massive thank you to Nitro Mousse, who supported this channel from the beginning. They give me mousses. I really do love their mousses a lot. I think they last the longest. And I like the way they feel, the platinum version. Purchase price, like what we've got invested in these bikes, guys. Best I can guess, I got about $3,000 in this YZ250, and I got about $12,000 into this KTM 250. Let's get geared up and go ride. Right on. Let's talk a little bit about the trail that we're going to be riding these things on today. So, take a look. This is the Untitled Plateau map. This is kind of the south end of it. We sell these maps. We got them on Avenza, whatever. Anyway, this place is an amazing place to ride. I have chosen to ride the Aspen Loop right here for this test. Now, the reason I chose that loop is because it's, I would call it like an intermediate to easy intermediate trail. It's not super hard, but it's got some roots and rocks in it. It's got some sandy stuff, some really fast stuff, some super flowy stuff. It's got a little bit of everything, and I think we all know what both these bikes were built for, right? The YZ is a motocross slash supercross bike. It's made for a track, and the KTM is a rocks woods weapon, right? So obviously, if we go into super gnarly terrain, the KTM is going to be an infinitely better bike. And if we go into super fast desert or track area, the YZ is going to be a better bike. That's all there is to it. This is a good test of kind of mixing it up and seeing which one's best a little bit out of either of their elements, right? It's definitely more towards the KTM's, natural habitat. But anyway, so that's why I chose the Aspen Loop. It's a really super fun little loop. The Aspen Loop is a 5.5 mile loop. It's not super long, so you're not going to be bored sitting there watching me ride for 20 miles each time. It's an awesome loop. I think you guys will enjoy watching it. You know what? Why don't we just go take a look at it step by step before we take these bikes on a race? All right, guys. I'm gonna walk you through the Aspen Trail that we're gonna be testing on. There we go. Aspen Trail number 125. It's definitely on the map. It's a big loop, so you can go either direction on it. I'm up here testing on a Monday. There are no other cars anywhere around here, so that's why I'm feeling pretty good about going fast. Also, this run through here will let me know if there's anybody else out here. There's a few different entrances into it. I'll put a little picture up here on the map of exactly where I'm entering it. So there's that. So yeah, let's just go through, walk you through all the kind of different things about it. This is an awesome trail. This right here is really typical of this trail. Lots of turns, not a ton of rocks. Big open areas where you can kind of go fast. Nice berm turns. Alright, now right here, it starts to change. A few more rocks, a few more tight turns. Slows down a little bit. Now we're dropping down to one of the other entrances, and it definitely gets much rockier and rootier. And here we go. All right, so here we are at one of the other entrances into the trail, into the loop. If you go that way, it's the Dry Creek. We call that the Dry Creek Cutoff. It goes over to the Buck Trail, one of our favorite trails up here also. Right now it's closed for wildlife habitat, for elk calving, but it opens up here pretty soon, actually really soon. So yeah, this is another entrance you can come out. If you head that way, you go out to the road, out to the divide road. So if someone were having a problem, a bike broke or whatever, you could exit there, get to the road, and get back to your truck pretty fast. Now this next section is pretty cool because it goes downhill, weaves through a lot more, still in a whole bunch more rocks, and then it climbs up through probably the hardest section of the whole trail, which is not very hard, but it can be difficult, a lot of roots and rocks and stuff like that. So yeah, we're gonna head on down the trail. I'll show you guys what that looks like. All right. Okay, so here's another entrance into the trail. You can see
Right over that way, there's a trail sign right there that says Little Red Trail, and that goes out and over to the Roundabout Trail, which is another brilliant trail up here. Pretty tough, pretty difficult section. But this up here, right in front of us, that's the little bit hard section to go up. It's not, again, it's not super difficult, but for a beginner rider, it could be intimidating for sure. So let's go hit that thing. So once you're up and out of that, you can see it opens up into the beautiful Aspen forest again. We gotta stop here for a little local history. Long ago, there was a guy named Fred Duzio who had a motorcycle shop here. And there's a whole bunch of stories around Fred and all that. But the thing that lasts and has endured is there's a big, super duper fun party up here on the plateau every year where all the motorcyclists from around the valley and actually all over come out and kind of celebrate Fred and everything that, you know, went on around him. And right here we are standing at Fred's grave. He's actually not really buried there, but that is Fat Fred's grave. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff behind that, and I won't go into it here. Maybe in another story time video I'll talk about it more, but pretty cool little place right here off the Aspen Loop. I'm not going to mark exactly where it is. I'll let you guys find it. It's not too hard to find. So yeah, let's keep going. We're actually right now, we're heading over to my absolute favorite part of this whole trail. Take a look at that view. That is absolutely gorgeous. So that's looking west, south and west, out over the San Juan Mountains. That's Lone Cone. Yeah, it's a beautiful place, guys. Come ride with me sometime. All right, like I said, this next section is my favorite section of this whole trail. I like to call it the forest moon of indoor. I think you'll see why. On the last little challenging part of this trail. Again, it's not really very hard, but for a beginner rider it might seem a little bit intimidating. A few more rocks and then we're going to exit through rocks right up here. The rest of the stuff back up to the car is all just super mellow, kind of out in the open. It actually turns into almost a two-track just up here, but there's the Aspen Loop, guys, so let's go test these bikes. close, people. That is really, really close. Holy moly. Oh man. Oh, that's so much fun. So much fun. Whew. Oh man, I'm tired. Definitely pushing for both those runs. I think the timestamp's gonna show it's probably negligible, really. All right, let's go back to camp. Let's talk a little bit about these motorcycles a little deeper. All right, guys. So you just watched the 2 runs. Super duper close in times, right? I don't think we can possibly just declare one a winner based on time. I just don't think that's possible. It's way too close of a race. You know, same guy riding them, fresh both times, I would say. You know, I guess I was a little more warmed up when I got on the KTM. But let's talk about the pros and cons of the KTM. Let's start with cons. The first con is they're terribly expensive, right? To buy one new, which I did, you're looking at about $9 grand, more now that they're all fuel injected. And then the next con I would say is that you absolutely have to do work to the suspension if you want to go about as fast as I was going. To go that fast on the stock suspension on this KTM is really hard and incredibly uncomfortable. I rode this bike with stock suspension for 1 day just to get an idea, and it was terrible. After paying your $9,000 or $10,000, you need to put about another $1,000 into the suspension to make it nice. The other con is and this is just a personal one, and it really kind of falls in both the pro and the con column, is the wide ratio transmission. I like the wide ratio for just trail riding and putting around and going down long roads to get to different places and things like that, because it is really nice to be able to click up a gear and just cruise down a road. The downside is that I feel like there's too big a gap between first and second, and when you're in the really tight stuff, I can find myself hunting for the right gear. That's all the cons I can think, honestly. There's really not a lot bad about this bike, and those things that I said are bad really aren't bad. They just are what they are. I mean, the money, it's unfortunate. You do end up with a really nice motorcycle. So the pros are, and honestly, for me, hands down, the biggest benefit with this bike over the YZ is the button right here. That guy right there is hands down the biggest benefit to this motorcycle. It is absolutely awesome. I'm old enough and beat up enough, I really like to hit that starter button. Also, when I'm riding with my kids and we stop a lot, it's so much nicer just to hit the button to get going. The hydraulic clutch is really nice that you don't have to adjust it, but honestly today, riding them back to back, I feel like that clutch pull is stiffer than the YZ now that I have that Hinson in it. So that's not awesome. But the hydraulic clutch is awesome because you never have to adjust it. You just ride it. It never fades. It's really good. I personally really like the PDS suspension on these bikes. I like the clean underbelly, not having a linkage hanging down. When you're jumping over logs and rocks, it's one less thing to hang up. I've actually had that experience numerous times on both bikes where the KTM will just slide over an obstacle and the Yamaha can kind of hang up. So I like that. They come, honestly, so the counterbalance motor is another huge benefit. While the YZ doesn't really vibrate that much, especially not compared to like a 300, older 300 KTM, the motor is really good on the KTM. It's just super smooth. It's definitely less tiring to ride, and I love the fact that you can adjust the power valve. It's just really cool. So if you want to go moto in it and hammering hard out in the desert or whatever, you can set it up to be a little more violent. If you want to take it and just go cruise through the woods, you can mellow it out. So the motor really is brilliant. Another downside actually would be the carburetor that comes on this one. Now obviously they're all fuel injected now, which I also consider a downside. While I know the fuel injection is working pretty good and probably a brilliant thing, I like my two strokes to be simple, and that just complicates the situation.
This carburetor from the factory was a pile. The jetting and everything about it was no good. With a little bit of work on it, it is really, really good now. And I'll put a card up here for that video on how we unlock the mysteries of the TMX Mikuni. It's working really good, but that is another downside. You have to spend another, you know, $100 to get the thing dialed in. It's just a great bike. It really is a great bike. So the bike right now has got 250 hours on it. Honestly, it's been trouble-free, other than when I almost ruined it in a mud race. But other than that, it's been really, really brilliant. Also, you have to know, it started its life as a rental bike, so it got beat on by some people for a while before I actually just took it under my wing and called it mine. All right, guys, now let's talk about the YZ250. If you've paid attention to my channel or any of my social media stuff on Facebook or Instagram or anything, you'll know that I absolutely love YZ250s very, very, very much. Part of that love comes from the fact that I started my motorcycling career on Yamahas. My first really fast bike was a YZ250, so it has a special place in my heart. The other thing is that the chassis is amazing. So let's go over the pros and cons real fast. Cons, honestly, the biggest con about this motorcycle is the Kickstarter. I just really, really wish that Yamaha would put an electric start on this bike. I can't understand why they don't, but they don't. It does keep it simple. I like that a lot, but as an older guy who's almost 45 years old, the button's just really nice. So downside, definitely the Kickstarter. The other downside is the cable operated clutch. I can say that with that Henson in there, I think the clutch pull is lighter on this bike than it is on the KTM now, which is awesome, and the feel is amazing, but that's a, you know, an expensive upgrade. See, another con about this bike is that you can't adjust the power valve. You just can't. I mean, you can take things apart and change washers and all that, but no one's going to do that. So you really can't adjust the power valve. I don't love that. If you want to say a con about this specific one, is it came with a 19-inch wheel, but that's not really a big deal to me. It does have an 18-inch wheel, but that's because I'm a scavenger and I take things off of other stuff and I put it on there and laced it up myself, so it didn't really cost me any money. That's really all I can find wrong with it. I mean, so let's move on to the pros. The suspension is brilliant on these things. Even bone stock is absolutely brilliant. You can take a stock YZ of any kind, 450, 250F, 250 two-stroke, 125, whatever, and just go ride it either on a track or in the woods and have a lot of fun and not be at a real detriment. I just proved that the other day. I'll put another card up here with our test on the 2020 YZ250FX. With a few clicks, that thing was awesome. And I think we all know, I mean, the motorcycle industry is pretty clear that KYB suspension, forks especially, are the best in the business. The suspension and the whole chassis, the setup on this thing is really good. The motor on this thing is absolutely brilliant. It's not as smooth in its power delivery as the KTM, but it is absolutely spot on. It makes a ton of horsepower. It's a lot faster than the KTM for sure. When you twist the throttle, it wants to move right now. Some people might consider that a con in the woods because it's a little bit violent, a little bit hard to hang on to. On that run, I definitely got my hands and arms got more tired. Another bonus, this one has Electron, but another bonus is the YZ comes with a really good key-in carburetor. Really good right out of the box. Super easy to jet. You just need to change, you know, the main and the pilot for where you live and drop the needle or raise the needle and you're good. You don't have to buy anything other than a couple jets. So that's awesome. The other massive pro, honestly guys, let's think about it, the money. You can go buy a used one of these things for $2 grand, $2,500, fix it up and put whatever on it you want and have a really nice motorcycle, and you don't have to spend 10 grand. I guess that's one of the things that draws me to this motorcycle, is that I don't have a bunch of money in it and I absolutely love riding it. I think the motorcycle world has gotten a little too expensive, honestly, and it's pushing some people out of the sport, and I don't like that. Yamaha, I'd love to see you keep making this exactly like it is and drop the price a bunch, and then put an electric start and a counterbalance motor and maybe a hydraulically operated clutch in one and make it, you know, 8 grand, a little bit less than the KTM. Honestly, my end conclusion on which bike is better is I can't say. I don't know. It really depends on how you look at it. As far as absolute performance and refinement, the KTM wins, okay? It really does. It's easy to ride, it's butter smooth. Once it's set up, it's just amazing, right? But it costs a pile of money to do it, even in the used world. On sheer performance, money no object, the KTM wins. But as far as fun per dollar, I have to go with the YZ. On that run I just did, guys, that I had just as much fun riding that YZ as I did the KTM. Absolutely the exact same amount of fun. So I just can't I can't say that the KTM is just better all the way around. I also can't say that the YZ is better all the way around. But yeah, if you're on a budget and you want to just go have a blast, buy a YZ250. You can buy any year from 06 forward, and they're basically exactly the same. They're cheap to repair. You can find a blown up one like I did with this one, put a crank in it, fix a cylinder, whatever, and have a brand new engine for very little money. You can do it all yourself. If you watch my YouTube videos, I basically show you how to do it, and I think anyone can do it in their garage with enough time and patience. If you're not on a budget and you want the absolute coolest, baddest two-stroke thing you can buy yourself a brand new KTM. They're amazing. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of the fuel-injected bikes yet. I do know a lot of people that are having really good success with them now, so that's cool. That is an amazing machine. Like, it is absolutely incredible. Right on, guys. Thank you so much for joining me for this 250 shootout. I really hope that you enjoyed that and that it was informative. Please post questions below. If I didn't cover something you want me to cover, please post the questions below. I want to make sure that I get everything answered that you want to answer. Also, let me know if there's any other shootouts you want to do, any other things you want me to cover, like actually in a video on either of these bikes. If you like this stuff, please subscribe. We're trying to grow this thing and spread the gospel of two wheels. If we can get big enough and we can actually make this earn some real money, we can spend a whole lot more time doing stuff like this. I would love to be the dirt bike channel on YouTube, actually providing real world, honest information and tests, because like I said, I did get some free parts for all this stuff and the suspension and all that, but I bought these bikes and I'm going to continue down that road. Even if I'm making money on YouTube and from ads and sponsors like that, I'm going to keep buying the things with the money that I make, you know, so that I'm not biased towards anything. And when someone gives me something to test, they're going to get a real review. I'm not afraid to tell them the truth. I hope you guys like this thing. I hope you guys subscribe. I hope you share it with your friends. Give us a thumbs up. That means a lot. And comment below. Also, if you want to get a hold of me, just send an email to morgan@highland-cycles.com. I answer all my emails. As long as it doesn't go into the junk mailbox, I answer it. So I'd love to get in touch with you guys. I'd love to show you guys around up here. If you want to come up and ride with me, I'll show you all the super awesome trails up here. Also down at Peach Valley and Dry Creek. Yeah, I just love this sport, guys, so very much. And I can't thank you enough. As always, you know what I'm going to say. Get out, spread the gospel of two wheels, and I hope, desperately hope, that what we're doing here at Highland Cycles, out on these motorcycles in the shop, is inspiring you guys to work on, and more importantly, ride your dirt bikes!